Listen to your heart. Your heart is never wrong. Always face the truth. Your heart won't lead you home.
Welcome to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul. Get ready for an enlightening conversation that will nurture your soul and help you live your best life. Now, here's your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson.
Welcome to the Soul Wealth Radio Show. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson, here on dcradio.gov and 96.3 HD4. I am once again grateful and excited to be bringing you wealthy conversations that nurture the soul. My guests thus far have been incredible. They just happen to be all women so far, and some men are coming later on. But today I have an amazing dynamic duo here in the studio, and super excited. Again, just blessed to be able to share who they are individually and together with the world. My guests today are multifamily real estate investors focused on acquiring B, C class properties that generate passive income in working class communities. They founded Paragon Investment Partners with a desire to build a solid multifamily investment portfolio while introducing value add opportunities for investors and the community. Paragon Investment Partners is invested in 154 units to date. In addition to Paragon Partners, Paragon Investment Partners, let me get that right, one of the dynamic duo owns and operates an HR consulting firm, PFD Business Solutions, following a successful 25-year career leading human resources programs and teams in prominent companies like NPR and SpaceX. She owned her first home at the age of 21 and has 10 years of experience leading the renovation, rental, and sale of residential properties in Prince George's County, Maryland. In addition, she is a licensed title insurance producer in Maryland and freelances as a notary signing agent executing mortgage signings. She also is always on an airplane. Y'all gonna hear about that in a minute. Her business partner and the other half of this dynamic duo is a real estate agent who is an expert in the local market, bringing a wealth of knowledge and expertise to real estate investing through her keen market analysis and deal valuation. Y'all, this is starting to sound like Shark Tank, I know, right? Prior to co-founding Paragon Investment Partners, she owned and operated Faces of Dimensions, a lucrative hair and makeup studio servicing the metropolitan area for over 15 years. She is a proud graduate of Howard University, HU, you know, and holds a MIBA in International Business from Huizinga. Is that right? Huizinga School of Business and Entrepreneurship at Nova Southeastern University, a university I'm very familiar with as I am a native Floridian. So I know all about Nova Southeastern University. Welcome to the Soul Wealth Radio Show, Pam Dorsey and Nikki Dade, also known as the Paragon Investment Partners.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I'm so excited that you all are here. And I've said it again and again and again. Pam, thank you for what you did to make this happen, to be here. And Nikki, for just being who you are, you know, and pulling it all together. I'm just excited. Can y'all tell? We are too.
We're excited to be here too.
I'm so happy, so happy. So the other excitement in my voice is that, you know, we get to do a part 1 and part 2. Since there are 2 of you here, I want to share who you are individually and then also, you know, who you are as this dynamic duo, the business partnership of Paragon Investment Partners. So I'm going to start with you, Pam.
seniority
Like,
ranks.
you have an amazing bio, an amazing career. I love what you do, how you do it, and we'll get into that. But share with us who and or what inspires you.
I think my inspiration comes from always challenging myself to want to do better and be better. I play many roles, mom, wife, leader, friend,
And you have a beautiful family, by the
daughter.
way.
Thank you so much. That, we can get caught up in the roles, but I always, in my heart, have a heart to serve and nurture. I've been doing it a really, really long time. And so wanting to do my best and be my best for my family, first and foremost, and then challenging myself all the time is what gives me the greatest inspiration.
That's awesome. Nikki. Look, we just are who we are in here. Really cool. Who or what inspires you? You've had an amazing career as well prior to this partnership of Paragon Investment Partners. You've done quite a bit. So who or what inspires you?
I would say watching the strength of my mom. My mom was a teenage mother.
Wow.
It was a baby raising a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And watching the resilience and her perseverance and determination to raise 3 children on her own really helped mold me into the woman that I am today. And I believe most of my character was built watching her strength.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to ask you this. This is fun. Like, who inspires you all together? Like, do you have an inspiration as a unit to do what you do? Share with us what Paragon Investment Partners are. Y'all should see them in here. I'm telling you, they are fly. They came in matching T-shirts, both got on these fabulous white blazers, looking amazing. You will see these gorgeous
all about the guerrilla
candid
marketing.
shots. I'm telling you, I love it. But as a unit, right, and I love it, what has been your inspiration? Who is your inspiration to do the amazing work that you do in the community? I mean, 154 units to date. I know you have your meetups. You're always so generous with your information, for men and women who want to get into this area of real estate investing. How did this partnership come about? Because you're coming from, I think, just on paper, very different backgrounds. You in HR and you in the fashion, beauty, hair industry. How did this happen? And I love it, by the way.
So we've known each other for over 25 years and share like interests. We are very powerful and driven women, and our guiding principle and interest has to do with building legacy wealth for ourselves and our families, to be able to provide and to leave them with something that will be an inspiration for them to continue to grow and build from. And we would get together at events and we'd be huddled in the corner, kind of co-conspiring on, how can we do this? How can we do this?
Right.
We've started on our own separate paths, me with, my interest in real estate and with the whole title insurance producer thing, and then her with real estate. We were doing kind of the parallel track, and then we kept coming back to those like conversations. And then finally we're like, what are we doing? We're better together.
Mm-hmm.
We can pool our interests and resources and, we can make it happen. And so 2 years ago now.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Wow, so Paragon Investment Partners is 2 years old?
2 years old.
2 years
Happy
old.
birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
anniversary.
Cheers.
That's
so
awesome.
we just pulled that interest and, really put all of our efforts. And when I say all of our efforts, I mean, a lot of sacrifice has been made, financially, emotionally, time from our families and, just the grind. Because
It's real.
we want it that bad.
You know what I love about your grind, though? I don't want to say you make it look easy because I know it's not. You do, however, make it beautiful, if I can say it that way. Like, I love watching your videos. I love watching your pictures. I love how you share your victories, how you share the impact that you're making. And I just want to reflect back to you what that looks like and how it's landing on the other side, and the beauty of knowing that it's real. Because, we can see a lot of things that are not real, and I don't want to go into that, but I appreciate your authenticity and the way that you show up in doing what you're doing and the way that you're doing. Nikki, where did the name come from? How did you all come to Paragon Investment Partners?
Ooh, that was a whole session. We wanted the name to reflect what we wanted to do in our business. So
Okay.
Paragon actually means excellence.
Paragon means excellence. Let me
Paragon
write that
means
note.
excellence.
Y'all can write that down. Paragon means excellence. Okay.
And we wanted to have excellence within our business, within our performance, within our production, with messaging, branding, whatever it was that we were going to do. So that was the overarching theme and how we came up with that.
Excellence. Paragon means excellence. I
That's
love
what
it.
we want to
So,
exude.
exuding
Do we?
excellence. You do.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it. And I love the diversity. I love the simplicity. And most importantly, I love the integrity. Like, you all just exude. I love that word. Come on here now, words. I love how you exude integrity,
Yes.
and it doesn't appear to be a lot of barriers to gain access to what you all are doing, which resonates deeply with me because, sometimes you have to go, what is it?
Multiple layers deep.
Under the river, over the river, through the woods, around the corner. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. And I believe that, you all have these 154 units to date, but that an explosion is coming because you're so generous. And it's impossible to be as generous as you both are individually and together, sowing seeds and not reap that harvest. Like, I'm still coming to a meetup. I know I said that. I know I said that a while ago.
You are more than
I'm
welcome.
just, working my way just by way of relevance. I'm currently in the restoration phase of working on my grandparents' home in Orlando, Florida, that recently was designated as a historic landmark in Orlando. And and it's me. Right? It's a lot. And I often think of you all when I'm having these conversations, whether it's, with a contracting company or estimators. I'm like, this is like building a whole house. I just wanted to preserve my grandparents' home, and I think, wow, Pam and Nikki do this all the time. I don't know how they do that. But it gives me a greater appreciation is really what I'm saying. So that is just really, really cool. Listen to this question. What has been one of or two of your greatest lessons, Pam, in life that caused you to pivot? We all have those things that happen to us and you're like, ooh, like if you touch that hot stove, ooh, I won't do that again. And a lesson doesn't necessarily have to be painful. It can just be something that you learned that caused you to shift, to say, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to be now.
So you read in my bio that I have over 25 years of HR experience. And I started in HR, I think I was 19. I was a teenage mom, married early as well. And so I immediately went to work and started grinding. So in the HR field, and I have my entire career was spent in nonprofit or tech companies. And so the vast majority of my work was with NPRs here in Washington, D.C.
That's
And
National Public Radio?
National Public Radio.
How ironic, right?
Here I am. So I've always aspired to do other things, and, entrepreneurship is one of them, but got caught in the grind of being a parent, being a wife, raising a family, and was always putting off those entrepreneurial or any risk-taking interests. And so the later I got in my career, as I kind of moved up the ladder, that hunger was always still there. And so when I moved to California and worked for a year for SpaceX, and it was so completely opposite of everything that I wanted to be doing. It was still relatively a startup at the time, but it was so far removed from the traditional kind of people work that I had been doing that it turned me off, so completely off, because I felt the farthest removed from who I was personally, my values. And I made the decision to come back, and I walked away from a 9-to-5 and I started my business. And so the lesson for me was to be true to what it is, my values, my principles, and what it is for me that brings me joy. And it wasn't, working for or with companies or people who don't share the same interests and values. So,
being true, like you said that so eloquently. I learned to be true to who I am, what brings me joy. But for a lot of people, that's not easy to do. Mm-hmm. It took a lot of courage, obviously, for you to walk away from a guaranteed check to, making your time and energy investment in a startup. And I think, again, that's another lesson that you really just have to do it afraid, but go for what you know. Like our grandmothers used to say, in your knower, you just have to go for it, because it will never be a good time. There will always be a reason why you should stay safe. And one of the quotes that I love that my mentor says is, there is no growth in the comfort zone, and there is no comfort in the growth zone. So you just have to get out there and do it. Nikki, what about you? Share one of your greatest lessons that caused you to pivot.
So I was in college at the time, and you know how you get all these applications or all of these cards that are kind of thrown at you. And so I had a whole boatload of credit cards that I ran up and got myself in trouble, bad trouble. But I didn't have any sense or any awareness of finance at the time and how important that was in protecting your credit and all. Because, I just didn't have that. And so I spent quite a bit of time digging myself out of that hole. At first, I thought I was going to have to go through, I think it was CDC or something, some company that you could go through, but it was going to report on your credit and it would stay with you for some time. And so it would take more time to kind of dig out of that hole, rather doing it on your own. So I spent a lot of time investigating what to do and how to get myself out of there. And I said, I will never. It's like, Lord, if you get me out of this mess.
The famous promise.
I will never
do it. Just do it this time.
I will never cross this road again.
How deep was the hole? You don't have to go into like explicit detail, but I'm asking this for a reason.
It was at least over $20K. And what that did though was, and I didn't realize it until I got older, that is one of the most horrible things that they can ever do. Like, you know nothing about credit when you're in college. But they typically do that. The companies do that. They prey on the students that are in college because you have no idea,
right?
And so you're able to get all of these balances, all of these large balances too, that you really aren't worthy for at that particular time.
And most not even working.
Yeah. How are you going to pay it back, right? But they allow you to dig this hole. You dig yourself deeper and deeper and deeper, and you don't realize that it's really going to put yourself in a bad bind. Right? It's going to take you some time to really build and get back to where you need to be so that you can now move on and prosper. And so I was able to call and do negotiations on my own. I can pay you 40% on the dollar. Of course, I had to figure out you had to have cash, obviously, to do that. So there was some education that I had to do to figure out what I needed to do to climb out of it. But when I did, I was like, I will never, ever do this again. And I realized you need to protect a couple of records. One being your finance, two being your health, your education, and your police record.
That's true. Hold on. Say that one more time now. So one being
Finance,
health,
education,
education,
and your police record.
And what have you learned about those 4 things? Because you say that really passionately. Where is that coming from?
It's coming from because we aren't taught to protect those things in our homes. We aren't taught that those records follow you. And once you create those records, when you're making those choices, especially in the age that you are, you're making choices that are going to affect you in your lifetime that you're not going to be able to come back from. Your health, for instance, like there's no quality of life if you don't protect your health. You won't be able to do the things that we're doing now if you don't protect your health. Same with your police record, especially with my son, right? Having a Black boy. So all of those records is just really, really important because if you do not protect those records, you won't be able to have peace of mind.
Wow, that is, thank you for sharing that and just being vulnerable and transparent. I want to go back to, before I move forward, the hole that you were in. The reason I asked you how deep was the hole, how deep was it, and what did you do to get out of it is because what you're doing now is like the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's powerful. And that's what I want to frame, is that no matter how deep the hole, no matter how awful in the moment it feels, the choices you made were mistakes, that as long as you're still breathing, you still have hope. As long as you're still alive, you got up another day, you can always learn, right?
For sure.
There's no greater lesson than pain and failure and knowing what not to do.
For sure.
and there's no passion that drives that more than having to dig yourself out of the hole. Because to dig yourself out of the hole, now you're learning lessons as you're digging out that allow you to sit here as a real estate investor to say, I will never.
And now I impart that same wisdom to my son.
That's awesome. And that's what we have to do.
He has his own little credit cards now. He turned 17. He has his own credit cards.
That's
We're going to help
awesome.
him start building and establishing his credit correctly so he won't go through the same mistake that I went through.
Thank you for sharing that, because I know there are people who are listening. I got that infamous credit card right in Blackburn.
See? Probably where I got mine.
And my balance wasn't really that high, but the fact that I had a balance and didn't know what to do with it did create some issues and some trauma. Like, we don't talk about the trauma that debt creates and the lack of financial education. That
Yes.
really is traumatic, because now you're living this life at the mercy of
Yes.
debt collectors calling you.
Oh, my God, that was horrible.
Not having enough money to do the things that you want to do. So I think it's really powerful that you went from a college student with credit card debt that you didn't know how to manage properly to now being in this amazing partnership with Pam, as a real estate investor, and not just as a real estate investor, but also an educator and an advocate, for our community. Because I like to say, I love reaching everyone, and me being pro-Black doesn't mean I am anti-anyone. And I spoke earlier to the diversity that's in your rooms, that is really a powerful, powerful thing. What is a lesson, if you will, that you all have learned together? Have you learned anything as Paragon Investment Partners? You can just kind of share in partnership, because the other thing that you two reflect, whether you know it or not, is that women can work together, that Black women can work together. Let me just be specific. You're reflecting that, whether that's your intention or not. You know, you're like, we're just in business. We're doing this. We're just out here making money, educating, growing, expanding, wanting to build a legacy. But you're also demonstrating that sisterhood is real, that it works, that women work together, can celebrate each other.
Yes.
And that we as Black women do get along, that we do support
One another.
So what's a lesson that you all have learned together as Paragon Investment Partners?
I would say check your egos at the door.
Check it at the door.
We have no place. We have no time, no energy. Recognizing and maximizing each other's strengths. And we laugh about it a lot because we're able to highlight them in the moment and even check ourselves and like, I stay in my lane. I know what I can do, what I'm really good at. You know, I'm going to pass this to you. And I mean, we're in a groove now that we know it, you know, intrinsically. But before, we had to keep calling it out. Like, you know, that's not my lane. You do it so much better. So, you know, I'd rather you do it than...
And an example of that is Pam is a much better record keeper than I am. So anytime we need a document or something like that, I'm like, Pammy, she's like, I got you, girl. She knows it's not a strength of mine. However, if we need to talk to get through a door, that's a strength of mine.
That's you. That's awesome. You know, knowing what you do well, right, is an important lesson to learn. And knowing what you don't do well, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, you know, is critical, no matter what industry you're in, no matter who your intended target is, no matter what accomplishment you're going for. I'm just so happy that you all are here today. And just so that you're listening, those of you who are listening, I want you to know we're going to continue this conversation in a part 2, and we're kind of coming to the end of this episode of the Soul Wealth Radio Show. So I want to just insert here for those who are listening whose interests have been piqued. How can people contact you? How can they get in touch with you all?
So you can contact us on our website. It's paragonpartner.com. We're also on social media as well, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And we have email addresses too, if you want us to give that.
Our contact information is on our website. But
awesome.
It is.
Look, Paragon means excellence, everyone. Like, don't come to Paragon and not be excellent, because Paragon means excellent. By virtue of the fact, the meaning of their name, you will be either turned on or turned off.
We can help you find it also. If you don't know yet what that is.
That's awesome.
Part of, you know, our outreach through our meetup community is to help people find their place in this space.
That's so great. That's why I'm coming. I am coming to a Paragon Investment Partners meetup. Listen, I appreciate you all joining us today here on the Soul Wealth Radio Show on dcradio.gov and 96.3 HD4. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson. Please visit my website, which is Vicki, VIKKI, Johnson.com. There you can get my latest book, Soul Wealth, Finding Vision, Compassion, Authenticity, Abundance, and Legacy in the Midst of Chaos. Listen, Paragon means excellence. I got to say that again. And soul wealth is your birthright. So listen, everyone, go out into the world, be excellent, live full so you can die empty. Until next time, peace.
You've been listening to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul with Dr. Vicki Johnson. Soul Wealth is not just a brand, it's a lifestyle of vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy created one conversation, one choice at a time. For more information, visit VickiJohnson.com or click on Soul Wealth at dcradio.gov.